60, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the Doge Boys, and there's another protest from the usual suspects on the left with their customary histrionics. Leading the charge, Jasmine Crockett. You may know her as bleach blonde, bad-built, butch beach body Spice of the Socialist Spice Girls in the House. You know, she's always yelling.
I know.
And
dare I say, with her fake eyelashes going up and down.
Oh, don't do that.
No, I did.
AOC's going to chime in, then it's going to be a free-for-all. Here's what she had to say about Trump and his billionaire buddy. She ain't taking it.
And what we not going to do is stand around while they pull this bull that they trying to pull right now.
Go ahead.
This is why I'm not going to be able to preach, because I probably won't be able to stop cussing.
Take your time.
But let me tell y'all something. I know some of y'all have been frustrated, and you've been saying, where are the Democrats? Where are our leaders? Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all.
Go ahead.
All right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face, we are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like. This ain't it. You and your little friend off of Twitter, y'all about to find out, all right?
Oh.
All right.
We about to find out. All right.
You know, I think that's the sort of approach that Chamath Palihapitiya, that one of the billionaire tech bros on that All In podcast, was referencing. We talked a bit about yesterday when he explained why he thinks the Democrat Party, and this is not a guy of the right, as most of these tech bros.
Oh, no, not at all.
They're basically left.
They're Obama people.
Yeah, they became, you know, just in the last. No. That's Pod Save America.
Oh,
the All In podcast is the Tech Bros.
Oh, that's good.
David Sachs, who's now Trump's Bitcoin point person, and Friedberg and Palihapitiya. Regardless, they're recent converts to MAGA in context. But he basically said, I mean, that has no appeal to working men and women in America. And you know, Jasmine Crockett, she speaks like someone who was bitten by a bat and let it go untreated. And
now she's got the rabies.
And people like that shrieking, that shriek shaming people, I think is really tiresome for people that are outside of the bubble of that political world. For more on the topic, because there's nobody more in tune with people outside the bubble of that political world than our next guest, Salena Zito, national political reporter, author of the bestseller The Great Revolt, Inside the Populist Coalition, Reshaping American Politics. And you can always check out her reporting at SalenaZito.com. Salena, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, what about that? The reaction so far, 3.5 weeks into Trump from the left, the protests outside of the U.S. Treasury, the Maxine Waters confrontation at the door of the Department of Education, the whole posture they are choosing to take in reaction to Trump and Musk, which of course they categorize as co-presidents.
Well, when I talk to what I would call normal Democrats. In and around, I live in Pennsylvania, if your listeners don't know that, but in and around Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and in Illinois, they are just beside themselves. And we're talking about people that, are elected, but, are the Democrats of old, right? They don't stand on top of soapboxes and screech. They don't storm buildings. These are people that, have a belief system, but they serve And they're watching these antics because that's what they are. These are antics, hysterical antics. And they just shake their head and say, this is why we lost. This is not projecting anything that people want to aspire to be part of. This is making people want to walk away and become Republican, or at least not be Democrats. Mm-hmm. So I think that everything that we have seen in the past 3.5 weeks is deranged, hysterical, and it's not moving anybody towards the Democratic Party in a meaningful way. If anything, it's making people want to never be a Democrat again.
It's tough to build a chorus around what do we want DEI musicals in Ireland, when do we want it now? It just doesn't have the cachet that I think it had, that they think it has.
And let's just think about this. Let's just think even back 10, 20 years ago. People on all sides of the aisle did not like when they were gold-plated. They saw the bill for gold-plated bathrooms at the State Department, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all seen these excesses, not only internally in government buildings, but also externally in other countries for things we wouldn't even support in our own country and pay for, let alone in a foreign country. And so this has a broad appeal to everyone. This is not just like MAGA. This is like you just sit down and talk with someone at their kitchen table. They don't want to be paying for things that are over the top in other countries. Yes. Do they want to make sure that farmers in Djibouti have seeds so that the people don't starve and there's not a civil war? Of course. Those kinds of things make sense. But these other over-the-top things that we pay millions, sometimes billions for, they want nothing to do with it. That's their tax money.
Now, Salena, President Trump yesterday signed executive orders to impose the 25% tariffs on all aluminum and steel supplies entering the U.S. regardless of country of origin. Is this going to affect consumers? And if so, how soon?
Well, I mean, I come from a town that makes steel and aluminum, where that has been eviscerated by bad trade deals and steel and aluminum dumping. And so people are willing to take a hit initially, as long term it's better for their lives, for their pocketbooks, and for the country. In a way, it's the way that farmers think of things, right? When farmers look at something and they know they're going to take initially a hit, but farmers farmers always plan their lives 5 years ahead of time. So, and their livelihoods. So they're looking 5 years down the road and say, okay, you know what, five years from now, this is going to be so much better for my business or my farm. And so I think Americans are willing to do this. They understood this is what they were voting for, and they're willing to do it because they know it will be better. The problem in comparison with Biden and Harris is they were never told it was going to be better. In fact, they were told this is great. And they looked at their members of the family and said, this isn't great. And you're not telling me it's going to get better? Why do I want this?
I did want to get to this piece you wrote in the Free Press a couple weeks ago. I really enjoyed it, reflecting on your... I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, just reflecting on your nearly a decade now of covering Trump, and just interesting, the sort of almost a happenstance coming across Trump in 2016 as you were at an inflection point in your life, as you recount in your piece, and I just wanted you to sort of provide that reflection to our listeners.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that piece. They really captured what my experiences have been with the president. And, when I met him, when I first interviewed him, it was just a handful of days after I had lost my job as a reporter. And I literally had to, I had this interview in my schedule, but I had lost my job. So I had to literally call around to see if someone would take the story. And in that story, that's when I said to him, voters take you seriously, but they don't take everything you say literally. But reporters take you literally and don't take you seriously. For some reason, that quote was like the quote that went around the world and changed everything for both him and me. And the piece really gets into some of the emotional parts that we have been through together, like being 4 feet away from him when he was shot, but also him chasing me around with hairspray. And it is
I want to hear more about that.
It is a really great precursor to my upcoming book, Butler, The Untold Story of the near assassination of the president, but also covering the race from the heartland. And, there's some very, very big highs and some very deep lows. And I hope if people enjoy that article, they're going to love the book.
What about him chasing you around with hairspray? Can you give us a little teaser?
So it was the first interview I did with him after Butler. If your listeners don't know, I was 4 feet away from him. Yeah. I was supposed to fly with him from Butler to Bedminster. So that's why I was so close to him. They had me ready to go into the motorcade. And so the next interview I do with him is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And after the interview, the running joke between him and I is he thinks I have the greatest hair in America. And I don't. But it's so. Just the running joke. And so he's ready to go on stage. I'm leaving, and he calls over to me and goes, "Hey, Zito, do you wear hairspray?" And I'm like, "No, sir, my God, my hair's big enough." and he goes, "Come here, you need to try some." And so I tried to get away from him, and he's going after me with hairspray. And there's some great photos of that in the Free Press story. My daughter's a photojournalist. She was with me, so she actually has it on film. It's pretty funny.
I like the big hair. It's like an '80s throwback, like a heart or something like that. I like it.
Yeah, the higher the hair, the closer to God. Just remember that. Okay?
There you go.
That's what we said in Texas all the time.
Salena Zito, national political reporter, author of The Great Revolt Inside the Populist Coalition Reshaping American Politics. You can check out her work at selenazito.com on a rolling basis. And the new book, the forthcoming book, is Butler, The Untold Story. We'll look for that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Salena.
Yeah, thank you so much, too. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Are you a writer who's devoted your time to writing a book with Christian morals behind it but need help to get it published? Maybe